The Comanches were probably not as social as the Kiowas. Did not intend to be, different. Within the tribe, you had different religious aspects, different sacred things, and they tend to get in the way, but they got around it pretty good for a lot of years. They always had a good peace. The Kiowas tended to be quite a bit more colorful, in that, a little fancier dressers. Comanches were pretty plain, put a lot of stock in getting their hair combed. Once they got it combed, in pretty good shape, no matter where. But they did roam all over, far enough south. Of course, raiding in Mexico was a big thing with them, but they went all the way down into deep Mexico, far enough to get parrot feathers, which is pretty long ways. And these excursions took a long time. Fought a lot with their neighbors on the east and the west, but secured a real treaty between them that lasted, between them and the Kiowas, that lasted a long time. The Texas had a tough Indian situation. You had an affair that was mishandled terribly by Burnett when he was governor. In fact, he got all the chiefs down, shot about 25 of them or something, so it's hard on any group to lose that much leadership and rebound. And it did create a lot of animosity. Of course, the plains were loaded with situations where the innocent people were continually annihilated by some other party. Somebody would make a raid, whether it was Indians or renegade whites. The first, after which, then these groups assembled which retaliated on the first place they came to, which were probably innocent of what happened to start with. And you had this going on for a long time. And then after we got through that, we had prior to that, you had these Spaniards crossing with cattle out of Mexico, and you had, and there was where they had the creation of the cowboy. Noblemen were the only ones that could ride horses, which had to be a Spaniard. And as this thing grew up, you had a situation where you had less Spaniards. So if you were first generation Mexican, you could, and then finally, if you got this thing taken care of, you had to put people on horseback, and they did. And then some might say the world's never quite been the same, because you did create a different individual in a different set of circumstances. Ranching is one of the few things that you can colonize with, so to speak, and not require many people. Farming required a lot of people. Commerce required a good many people. Ranching didn't take many people. The Mexicans found out early that you could put these ranches out here, but you didn't control much territory. And you still, whenever you talk about ranching in Texas, you still have a lot of Spanish terms, and you're probably following a lot of the principles laid down by the Spaniards. So I don't know that it's that new. It's just another approach. The people were very resourceful. You started with your pickers and gatherers, and then you go up to right up the line. And the ones that were what am I looking for? Resourceful. Always had a better living than those that weren't. People are that way still. The one thing that was always interesting about the plains was the brutality of it. Whether it was Mexicans, whether it was Texans, Texas Rangers, or Indians. Everybody talked about how brutal they were. Well, whenever you're a horseback society, there's not a good way to handle prisoners. And you leave a lot of people on the ground and in trees. And I think that it's a mistake to judge any historical event by today's standards. You just can't do it. And if you do, it's going to sound, or it's going to come out bad. Prior to the Civil War, you know, the United States didn't have a cavalry for a long time, and it was not until Jeff Davis took over the War Department they ever had one. Well, in about 1837 or 8 or something, the Comanches were winning, Kiowas were winning. Their equipment, a bow and arrow, was a better weapon than a lot of those old rifles, so they were doing pretty good with it. Certainly shoot faster and more often and probably as accurate. So you had the Secretary of, or I guess the Governor of Texas, writing to the War Department after we came in, I guess it would have been after 1845, looking for protection from the frontier. And they promptly sent them 2 troops of infantry, which do absolutely nothing on the frontier with those Indians. And then that was why you had the creation of the Rangers, who fought like the Indian and came in with the Walker Colt, which gave him multiple shots. As I said, Jack Hayes had a shot for every finger on the hand. So you did have some, I think, terribly interesting things happening through there. But unfortunately, my level of study it starts about the time the Comanches got here and kind of quits about the time they left. So I'm only talking about 200 years. But it was an area that set the stage for, in some way, people here have a lot of similarities to those.